Good morning, everyone. My name is Ana Valencia, and I'm an educational researcher working for TU Innovation Space and for TU Center for Engineering Education. And today I want to talk to you about our research and assessment practices of inter-program challenge-based learning, which we're currently conducting here at TU Innovation Space. The Innovation Space is the expertise center for challenge-based learning and student entrepreneurship at TUE. We're continuously developing new knowledge on the concept of challenge-based learning through educational experiments and other activities. One of those experiments is the Innovation Space Bachelor End Project, or SBEP, which is the focus of our research and the focus of our presentation. SBEP is an alternative to the traditional final projects that are conducted at each of the programs. And an important characteristic of SBEP is that it is interprogram. Students from all around the university are welcome to join an interdisciplinary team within SBEP. Students in these teams work on open-ended challenges, and through these challenges, they're able to develop both their disciplinary knowledge and broad professional skills. To support the development of disciplinary knowledge, academic coaches belonging to each of the programs guide students through the projects. And we also have innovation space coaches who actually guide students on aspects related to the interdisciplinary work, such as communication and integration of ideas. Challenge owners, who are those parties like companies, institutions, researchers who bring in challenges to the innovation space, also play a role in the learning experience of students by providing feedback on the general direction of the projects and their outcomes. The final assessment of the students is done individually, conducted by the academic coaches and following the assessment criteria as established by each of the different programs. What we report to you today are the preliminary findings of a wider research project, where the aim is actually to arrive to better align assessment practices for inter-program challenge-based learning. And the focus of phase one, which is what we present to you today, was actually on the issues and characteristics of inter-program challenge-based learning that have an influence on the assessment practices. We researched this through SBEP by following closely the learning experiences of students and coaches and challenge owners in these projects. And for this, we used several research methods like observations, contextual inquiry, interviews, and focus groups. And we framed our results following the theory of constructive alignment. We identified 4 preliminary characteristics of inter-program challenge-based learning, and we also identified 11 issues linked to those specific characteristics. In relation to the characteristics, we found that those are pretty much well aligned with the existing literature on challenge-based learning. So let's have a closer look at each of them. In relation to the learning activities, we found that these are largely based, of course, on open-ended challenges, and the students work on these projects that are abstract in nature with no predefined sets of characteristics and outcomes. The issue related to this characteristic is that the students needed considerably longer times to navigate the challenges and to define a direction for the projects. As pointed out by some of the coaches, this process took sometimes up to 4 weeks or longer and was characterized by intense coaching. The second characteristic is that inter-program challenge-based learning is multi-stakeholder. But what we found is that a larger set of stakeholders actually play a role in the learning experiences of the students, such as secondary examiners and experts. The issues related to this characteristic are 3. First, students really struggle to manage and balance the needs of the different stakeholders that play a role in their projects. For example, the needs of a challenge owners, as you can imagine, are different than those of academic coaches, and they really had to juggle with this. Second of all, students really struggled, and not only students, but challenge owners and all stakeholders struggled to maintain the overview of roles and responsibilities. For example, if something went wrong with the project, who should be accounted for? Who should the students go to? Innovation space, challenge owners, and so on. And third, there was a perceived reduced feeling of accountability in relation to the project, and this was particularly in relation to the challenge owners, who were perceived to be able to step out of the projects unannounced at a certain point, negatively impacting the outcomes of the students. In relation to the intended learning outcomes, and as mentioned before, SBEP really supported the development of disciplinary skills and disciplinary knowledge and broad skills. There were 4 issues linked to this characteristic. The first one is that students really struggled balancing their individual goals and team goals. Individual goals related to the personal professional interest, but also to the needs and demands from their specific programs. And team goals related to those goals and activities that will allow them to work interdisciplinary. Maintaining the interdisciplinary was really important for the students because it was a big motivation for them to join SBEP. When the interdisciplinarity was gone, then they didn't see the added value of this project in relation or in comparison to the traditional final projects. For students that focused too much on the interdisciplinarity, then it was very difficult to achieve enough disciplinary development, as well as to develop enough high-quality evidence for the assessment in these aspects. In relation to the assessment practices, then these projects were characterized by a diversity in rules and regulations. And as you can imagine, all the different programs that are taking part in SBEP have their own sets of regulations in relation to assessment. This, of course, resulted in 3 issues for the students mostly. First of all, they had unclarity about the rules and regulations, rules and procedures that they will follow in the assessment. Second of all, there was a perceived discrepancy between the assessment criteria and the intended learning outcomes of the project. Many of the activities of the students that the students engaged in had to do with the more interdisciplinary work. However, they were being evaluated following the assessment criteria for the traditional individual final projects. And third, many coaches expressed the need to have to adapt their assessment procedures to better fit the needs of SBEP and to provide students with a better and fairer assessment procedure at the end of the project. To conclude, our research allowed us to identify many opportunities to improve SBEP in relation to the 3 elements of constructive alignment. What we also found was that the large number of stakeholders plays a key role in achieving this alignment. For example, in aspects like communication or having clarity of roles and expectations. The diversity in rules and regulation is also an important aspect here and can be an important barrier in achieving alignment within these types of educational efforts. And what we believe and what our efforts are directed towards is to achieving alignment across the institution, really engaging the different programs to agree and align on the types of learning activities that the goals of these types of educations and how students will be assessed. The next phases of the project will be focused towards that. We will be co-creating SBEP together with the different programs, students, and coaches to hopefully arrive to a better and improved version of SBEP. If you would like to know more about the innovation space, I invite you to connect with us. And if you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you.